Good morning, I'm Dean Richmond, and we have Joe Smeltzer here as well. Thank you for joining Nextivity's webinar around IBW business shifts during the COVID-19 crisis and the need for cellular coverage during that. So we've got a good talk for you today. But before we get into that, I want to go through kind of the basics of how we're doing this per usual. So at the bottom of your screen, you have a question and answer icon. So if you have a question there, if it's an easy one, Emily Beck is in the background, she'll be answering some of those. But if it's a more strategic thing that we want to answer publicly, then we will wait at the end of the webinar. Most of the time we do that throughout the webinar, but we're going to do it a little different today. And we will do it at the end of the webinar, most likely, unless it's just so juicy that Emily decides to ask us during. So that's the way we're going to handle it today. So sit back and enjoy. We have Joe Smeltzer, the VP of Product and Marketing for Nextivity, and myself, Dean Richmond. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here at Nextivity. We'll be taking you through today's presentation. But before we start, did you see our latest buyer's guide? We have the new buyer's guide. It's a great asset when selling our products, or if you're a customer, just getting more information about how cellular coverage works and what the challenges are and what the different types of solutions that exist out there in the market. So you could go to selfi.com/guide and you could pick that up. You do have to leave your information. That's part of a privacy policy we have. So go ahead and fill that out and get yourself started. So just to kick this off, obviously a lot has changed in the last month. And with the shift of everyone being at home, the cellular coverage usage is up by 25%. In the US, Verizon and AT&T both reporting out, but this has kind of been a global thing. The great news is the carriers have done a wonderful job of putting up towers over the last decade and really done a nice job. But that doesn't fix the problem for in-building. Inside buildings, as you know, materials block cellular coverage. So that challenge still exists when you're inside, and where the data point of 85% of all calls are made from inside was used, would probably challenge that right now. Probably close to 100% of cellular coverage or cellular calls are made inside. So the need for a solution is there, and people are definitely seeing that. The world has become a work from home culture. We've seen a spike. 37% of the workforce has shifted from being in office to at home working their same job from home. So there's been a 37% of the workforce is now globally working from home. Those that could work from home are working from home. And so again, we're seeing some of the results of that. And of course, schools have shifted as well. And online schools, you have your kids Zooming in each day. And if you're in a rural area, the only internet you may have may be cellular. So the importance is there. And then emergency response has had a big shift as you've got pop-up triage centers and hospitals coming about, and the need for communication is there. And in the United States, obviously the need for FirstNet communication is there. as that is the standard. You've seen various organizations, both government and nonprofit organizations, responding to this and helping with communication using products from Nextivity. And then the rural and remote areas. This has long been a pain point for any operator where there isn't density of people. That tower might not be as close as it would be in urban areas. So that boost is needed all the more. But the good news is people in our industry, the communications industry, communications equipment, we're deemed as essential workers, whether it is around the maintenance of this infrastructure, whether you're an engineer, a technician, an installer, you have been deemed as essential. So the work that we're doing together is part of the backbone infrastructure. So we painted the needs of home office and home education and emergency response and general overall infrastructure. All of those things are essential. So that work is being done by our partners today, and we've got a lot of good news stories from partners that continue to be working and continue expanding. Some of these partners I'm going to go over in a little bit are reporting great things, and I think there's some real opportunity there. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Joe, and he is actually going to go over more of the technical side of our solution, and then we're going to be talking about the pivot as far as how we're handling this.
So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit now about our products and the positioning and the messaging. Just a little bit about our baseline here is we are really the only carrier grade solution in our product class. We're the only product in the world that has 100 dB of gain in our class of products, which makes us roughly 1,000 times stronger than the competitive wideband solutions. We are an ASIC company. We make our own silicon. We have a full end-to-end team of firmware, software, apps designers, mechanical engineering, industrial engineering. We're basically a soup to nuts development company, and so we have a lot of control over what we do and what we build. And lastly, this is something that is very important to us. We have a full spectrum of offerings from single carrier products all the way through to multi-carrier solutions, which is really nice. So if let's say you're a network operator and you want to deploy something to as a network extension tool or as a customer retention tool in your market, we have single carrier solutions. If you're a channel partner and you're out there solving coverage problems for, say, public spaces or enterprises that have a BYOD plan or some other kind of a space that has a variety of carriers being served, then we have products that serve that as well. So whatever your need is, we can help you out. One other comment about availability. This webinar is going out globally, so we have people from all over the world that are dialed in or that will eventually get this information. So just a note that we do have some differentiation in terms of what products are available in which markets. Some of that just has to do with regulatory, some of it has to do with band selection, requirements, etc. So the note here is that wherever you happen to be, contact your Self-Fi representative and find out exactly which Self-Fi products are available in your market. Okay. So a little bit about coverage. This is an interesting one because we hear a lot about coverage being expanded and network infrastructure. The CapEx is being expanded. Everyone is investing heavily in the infrastructure. The problem we solve really has to do with the buildings themselves and the coverage holes that these buildings create, especially with current modern building techniques and modern building materials. there's a lot of materials and coatings that are going in these days that will reflect UV rays and reflect some of the environmental stuff, and those are actually just as bad for cellular. So you can have what you're seeing here on the screen, you could have a signal that's say -90 right outside the exterior of the building. You can make and receive calls just fine, but then you go 1 foot inside that building and you have a 30 dB attenuation, and your cell service is all of a sudden terrible. And it doesn't really matter. And then it's an impossibility for the network providers to really solve all of these kinds of coverage issues. So this is the problem we solve. We can solve these problems. Also, remember that it's not just making the call. I'm sorry, it's not just receiving the call. While you're in the building, you've also got to be able to make calls. So the same problem happens in reverse. And the challenge here is of course your handset or your device that you're using doesn't have the same power as the tower outside. So you may even be more challenged on the uplink side trying to make calls than you are receiving them, or to continue a call that's being made, just because you have a hard time getting your signal out from inside your building. So I want to talk a little bit about definitions. We sort of have 3 major categories that we position our products into: home, SMB, and enterprise. Now these definitions are super loose. They're up for debate, and we have home products that have been used in enterprise, and we have enterprise products that have been used in home. So these definitions are loose, but it's kind of a tiering to help you understand where to look initially, and where to what kinds of solutions to align with whatever your need is. So in the home space, it's really anything sort of under 10,000 square feet or below. If you have a 10,000 square foot house, you're doing quite well, and you could probably afford any of these solutions. SMB is any commercial space. In our definition, it's up to 50,000 square feet. So really, if your space is below 50,000 square feet, then our SMB products will be perfect for you. And then enterprise is anything larger than 50,000 square feet. That's how we define things here, and that's how we sort of stratify our product offerings. So on the product side, I've talked a little bit about the market positioning. Now on the product side, we also have really sort of 3 kinds of products that we put together. The first category we call plug and play. Now our plug and play products have some pros and cons. The pros are that really these are designed to be no drilling. When you receive the package from us, you literally open it up and plug it in, and you are other than just sort of placing the products appropriately inside the space, you're essentially done. There's no antennas, there's no external antennas, very minimal installation complexity. One of our founders here was a guy named George, and we used to say that we wanted to try to design these products so that George's mother could install them. And that's kind of something that we've carried through for our plug and play philosophy. The cons on that product side is there's really less ability to really target coverage. Our plug and play products kind of have two ends, a network side and a server side, and so you don't have a lot of flexibility in terms of if you want to run some extra antennas, or you want to put your donor signal on your roof or whatever. You don't have as much flexibility on the plug and play side, but they're very easy to install and have been very successful for us, in that context. Okay. The second category that we support, we'll call DIY. DIY is just kind of a convenient name. On the pro side, our DIY category products really have unlimited kitting. And so this is something that we do a lot with our channel partners. We were able to create value propositions in a variety of categories, a variety of antennas, different kinds of cables connecting, different kinds of installation methods. We have partners that have done portable kits, all kinds of cool stuff you can do with these products. There's a lot of flexibility with them, which is really great. Some of the cons: this is a little bit more complicated installation than our plug and play line. Our DIY products usually have external antennas that you have to understand and be able to install or work with. We have cables usually involved, and there's a little more complexity here. It's not just a matter of plugging them in. you've got to kind of know what you're doing in this category. We call it DIY, but I couldn't give you a percentage, but a very large percentage of our DIY line are actually supported by our installer partners. So we offer a lot of these products through the channel, and then in addition to the sale of the product, the channel partner will go ahead and send a person out to help the installation happen. So that's that. And then thirdly, we call our sort of our professional install category. So these are really our most powerful, largest footprint products. They typically have the most options in terms of your single carrier versus multi-carrier options. And then we even have some products in this line that will support MIMO. So on the, if you've got a really hard requirement for a lot of throughput and sort of money is no option, then we can provide you with a single carrier MIMO product in this category. Some of the cons, obviously, this is the most expensive equipment, typically most appropriate. You can get an ROI for these in your larger spaces. This is sort of where we go into the enterprise. If any space that's sort of 50,000 square feet and up to say 1 million square feet, that's where we deliver these this category. So what about the products themselves? So I talked about the different categories and the different installation philosophies. In the plug and play product line, we have what we call the Pro and the Duo. The Pro and the Duo have been around for a few years now, and this is a global product line. It's probably our highest runner in the history of the company. We've shipped over 1 million of these. This is a great product. It's full plug and play, and we pretty much sell this into the home category all the way up to SMB, up to sort of that below 50,000 square foot space is the Pro and the Duo Plus. Now these are sort of really simple, plug them in and you are ready to go. Okay, anyone can install these as well. In the DIY category, we have what we call our Go products. So this is a product that we also ship globally. We've got this shipping in Europe and North America. It's a huge successful product for us in Oceania, in Australia, New Zealand, in that area. This is a product that has the same sort of power levels as our plug and play. These are sort of your 20 to 24 dBm uplink power, 16 dBm downlink power. So you can drive a pretty good footprint with these products, 10,000 square feet easily with a single unit, up to 15,000 square feet, kind of depending on what your space looks like. But with a single one of these units, you have a lot of flexibility with the kind of space you can cover. So we sell this into all kinds of categories, from IoT to industrial to manufacturing. These are in the education and home context. These are really great because they'll give you a really nice coverage bubble inside, say, a home or a small office. And having the flexibility with the antennas you attach, you can make sure you provide a really good donor signal, and then however you're doing on the server side, whether you're using, say, a directional panel antenna or an omnidirectional ceiling mount antenna, you have a lot of flexibility for how these can be installed into your space. So these are quite popular in the categories that we're talking about today in terms of home and sort of education at home. And then lastly, the Pro install product line we have a lot going on in this category. The SMB and enterprise space has been really good for us. We've been putting a lot of energy into this space over the last few years. So a lot of new products coming out. On the top of this list is something that we launched last year. Really excited about it. It's called the Solo. This product launched into Europe. It has an internal cellular modem for remote monitoring, and supports that same sort of home and SMB use case up to 50,000 square feet. And then if you've been watching us at all, you're probably familiar with our Quattro product line. We have the 1000 and 2000 we've been shipping now for a few years. And then just this year, we launched the Quattro 4000 into North America. That's a multi-carrier, a 4-carrier product. awesome for, you know, enterprise, SMB, very, very easy to install for a product this powerful. Extremely popular product today for us. Okay, and then just to talk about, Dean mentioned the emergency responder category. This is something that is a very hot topic right now. Obviously, the nation's infrastructure. This is a North America product. The nation's infrastructure is getting a lot of investment right now. There's a lot of attention towards making sure our infrastructure is ready for emergency situations, whether it's a pop-up hospital or a situation where communications have become even more critical than they were before. This is a product that we have shipping into FirstNet. So if you're a FirstNet customer or a FirstNet subscriber, this is the product for you. Very, very simple to install. It's in our DIY category, just like our Selfie Go. A couple antennas, and you're ready to provide great coverage inside. This product is also NEMA 4 rated, so it's nice for a sort of a rugged condition where maybe you're around fire trucks or you're in the back of a police vehicle or something like that. This is a pretty rugged product. Just talking about some of the use cases. Again, FirstNet coverage is something that is in the news a lot. FirstNet is doing their best to cover the nation with a nationwide emergency network. It's an impossible challenge for a network provider just because of what we talked about with trying to get signals inside buildings. So what you're seeing here on the screen is just a typical use case for a Selfie style product. Number one is a donor antenna. So that antenna is capturing the signal from the network, wherever that network may be. And the thing about Selfie is we have so much power in our gain that we can actually take a very faint signal, a signal that wouldn't support a phone call on the inside, and we can clean that signal up and boost it so much to provide great coverage inside the building. So you see number two is the booster, obviously, and then number three is where you would set up your server antennas. So wherever you're trying to provide coverage. So once you've got this system set up, which you can literally install in a couple hours, we have tools to help you do that. It's pretty simple for what it is. You can provide great coverage inside the building. Another use case for FirstNet that is very popular. Obviously, FirstNet is trying to cover the entire nation, and that includes all of the rural communities and rural locations. It's very difficult to do an ROI if you're a network operator. You know, if you're going to spend say $50,000-$100,000 on a tower or more. It's hard to do that if you've just got a few people that you're trying to provide coverage for. So this is a really great tool in that case, where if you've got a little bit of network somewhere, you can deliver this point coverage to whatever your facility is, whether it's what you're looking at here is a ranger station, but it could be anything. It could be a campsite. It could be, you know, it could be a wide open space. It doesn't matter. This is a nice product as a network extension product. Okay, so I think this is my last slide before Dean talks about some use cases. Just to wrap it up here, we have a bunch of different solutions, all with the same value proposition of supporting great cellular coverage. We have products that are, you know, all throughout North America, South America, Latin America, and also globally. I think last time I looked, we were working on 16 of the top 20 networks globally. So hopefully wherever you are, you can find a Selfie product that will meet your needs in your category. So I'm going to pass it back to Dean. I'm going to look at some of the questions and try to answer some of those without being too clunky.
So as Joe was saying, we are partners with 200 operators across nearly 100 countries. You know, these are some of the logos of our partners that are out there. So please get with us if you aren't a current partner, and we would love to get you hooked up in the country that you're in. So let's circle back Now, Joe has taken us through each of the products and kind of what they do. We started a campaign around 3 weeks ago and have received really good results around the home office. So we have a couple solutions in the plug and play, the Selfie Pro, the Duo/Duo Plus, depending upon what country you're in. Some countries it's a Duo, some countries it's a Duo Plus. Those are so easy that your mother-in-law could do it, as Joe alluded to. You can get up and running literally in minutes. But if you're a little bit more signal challenged and you need an external antenna, and maybe the plug and play does not cover the carrier that you need, Selfie Go has carrier switching capability, and we cover many carriers throughout countries on this one. So this is kind of your universal tool, and you can either use a dome antenna or a panel antenna. We've got various options. If you've got a big facility and you require multiple antennas indoors, you can use a splitter and get that. But these are products that you can do yourself and get yourself up and running. There's various video support in doing those sort of things, so people can get up and running. The important thing to note here is we're 1,000 times stronger than solutions that are out there. The BDA repeaters, which in most countries are actually illegal, and there's actually a lot of legal products in the United States that you can find on Amazon as well. This is carrier grade equipment, the only 100 dB solution that's out there. Same story with homeschool. We started that campaign a few weeks after the home office campaign, and we've had the same sort of response that we had with home office. People need this sort of equipment. Now, some of you might question, well, what about Wi-Fi or a little voice over IP or something like that? We're not saying that there aren't other solutions. There are, but if your Wi-Fi is taxed and you need cellular coverage, or if maybe cellular coverage is your internet access, this is your solution. So how does Pro and Duo work? And when you say it's as easy as your mother-in-law doing it, are you sure? Literally, you are finding where the best signal is in your house. In this case, you can see in the diagram, there is an upstairs corner that it's great. You put that network unit there, and then you put the coverage unit on the opposite end where you need better coverage, and you're creating a bubble throughout the entire dwelling. This is how simple this is. So it may take a few minutes to figure out where you need to place these. There's a guide. That's what our app Wave is there to help you through. This is super easy to get up and running. Now, emergency response. Joe spent quite a bit of time talking around FirstNet AT&T with the Go Red. Not every spot municipality needs FirstNet. They might be a Verizon customer or a T-Mobile customer, or fill in the carrier. If that's the case, you can go with the Go or Go Plus product that's available. And again, there are many variations of the Go depending upon what market you're in. Sometimes you see that gray Go in there. The black Go here is representative to the larger markets in the United States and Europe, but in Oceania, it is there's a gray go on that. That was the original go that went into market. So all work the same way. You also have the mobile mode version. So whether it's in public safety vehicles, whether it's fire engines or police cars or ambulances, this is something that is available as well. The same go has two different modes, and that can be switched with the Self-Eye Wave. You can go from stationary mode to mobile mode. So whether it's one unit or two different units, we have two different use cases with the same product. And what about those bigger projects? We're talking a lot of the smaller projects maybe in much of this. What about the bigger projects? Are they still out there? And we've been listening. We've met with many of our partners, and we're part of various associations, and we hear you. They're still there. Maybe on some of these projects we can't get in the building right now due to the stay-at-home order, but that is only on certain projects. Healthcare has become priority projects, whether it's a Quattro 4000 or 2000 or 1000 or even a solo or a go. It could be in all of the facility or part of it, whether this is a hospital, a pop-up, or doctors' offices and or healthcare facilities such as nursing homes and retirement centers. These projects are considered more mandatory. So where we thought initially that this could be slowed, we are seeing these projects actually are getting greenlit to go now in some cases, depending upon where you are in the country. So the need for this communication has been seen at a higher level than maybe even before. Grocery store projects. Now, this is something that we've done all over the world, where we've lit up full chains and really for the reasons of customers having access to apps so they could get coupons and even redundancy for the main network if that were to go down to go cellular. We have a whole new kind of use case and need as we have more delivery services coming in with a cell phone, with a list of products that they are essentially pickers and will come and pick the product. So cellular coverage is very much needed in the stores. And as these stores are necessary and remain open, things like automated checkout and iPay is very much needed. And this is, again, more of a Quattro level solution in most cases, but on smaller footprint stores, Solo and Go may be the solution there, depending upon the market. Manufacturing and distribution, another area considered necessary. In each country, we will be seeing shifts in supply chains as different local entities have to amp up their production in certain areas, and more manufacturing is anticipated to go online due to where we are today. We've had a lot of success in this classically with the Quattro line, and then again, the smaller facilities are more the Solo and the Go. But the bigger facilities, we've had a lot of traction with 4000, 2000, and 1000, depending upon the needs of the customer. Schools. Now, about a month ago, we did our Quattro 4000 webinar, and we talked about one of the first installs was a school systems that we're going live with this. As these schools are empty right now, this is a unique time that they would be empty at this time of the year. Some school systems are going ahead and green lighting, going ahead with these projects in the now time frame. So again, depending upon the need, whether it's the full school or just certain buildings, we've done 4,000, 1,000, 2,000 solos and goes. And this has been a global thing that we have done, schools. So lots of opportunity. So phase two, as you ready your businesses, if you read some of the recovery projects language, communication project upgrades are being earmarked as part of the recovery project. So as we create new business in the recovery, at least on the US side, these communication projects were part of the named infrastructure upgrades that were talked about. So we're expecting that. Ready your business for that. Talk with the folks that you've been talking with about that, and be ready to go is what we're saying. Now, if you have a specific vertical audience that you would like us to help you with on a webinar, maybe you have 30, 40 different building owner groups, and you would like an assist in this, contact us. Our sales team would love to help you in the presentation of this. If you have a built-in audience already ready to go, we've had a few reach out to us recently that we are going ahead and doing the webinars in tandem with our partners into bigger audiences. Webinars overall in the industry have had a major uptick in audience as people are home and can do these sort of things. So I recommend you leverage us where you can. We're happy to go in with you on your customer base. If you don't have all the tools, we can prepare and do a webinar like this in your base. So that is something that we are offering you as a tool as we go forward. With that, I'm going to advertise our next webinar, which is the Quattro Red. We were going to go ahead and do that webinar in tandem with IWCE that got canceled a few weeks ago. So we postponed it, and we're going to do that in 2 weeks. So Joe will be headlighting the Quattro Red ERC solution. We're excited about that. We're ready on that. And now is the time kind of really for questions and answers. Joe, do you have some questions and answers that you want to?
So I've been typing away here, Dean. Yeah, a lot of really good questions. One question that has persisted, I think that would be worth mentioning is getting a lot of questions about Quattro 4000 and part 20 versus part 90. So maybe I'll just comment on that a little bit. So with the Quattro 4000, we have two flavors of the product that we have released. The Quattro 4000 is part 20 certified. So you can actually deploy that in the same way that you would deploy our other part 20 products like Pro and Duo and Go. Same exact methodology for deploying that. It has blanket consent from the network providers. So very simple to deploy. Now, we also have a second flavor of that product called the Quattro 4000i. Now, the Quattro 4000i is part 90 certified. And what you get with the 4000i is a few additional bands. So it offers, for example, band 30, band 26, and band 71. If you're in a market where any of those bands are important to you, then you can select the Quattro 4000i and you have a Part 90 FCC certification, that requires a retransmission agreement. So if you understand how to do that, your company's set up to do that, then it's no issue. If Part 90 style products are new to you, then we just, we would suggest that you sort of spend some time understanding how to make that work for you operationally. But from a product standpoint, really they're practically identical. The Part 90 version has a few extra bands, and so both Part 20 and Part 90 versions are available there. Another question, I hope that helped. Another question I had, Dean, or a few pings about is this. Perhaps there's a sense in the marketplace that we're kind of making a shift away from our category cable style distribution methodology, category cable style RF distribution, to one of the sort of a more traditional coax style or passive distribution. And so I just kind of wanted to comment on that. No, not at all. We are not going away from category cable at all. It's kind of funny. Some of our competitors in the active DAS space are moving from fiber-based products to category cable. So as I told one of the attendees here, welcome to the party, to CommScope and Corning and some of those other companies. Happy to have them happy to have them with us. We're not going away from that at all. So our fundamental technology platform, what we do is we're an analog to digital company. So that's why we build our own silicon. We take the RF signal in from the network, we digitize it, and we distribute it over our, over whatever. Today, that whatever happens to be category cable. In the future, it could be fiber, it could be something else. Our Pro and Duo products actually distribute the signal over wireless. We use a 5 gig proprietary link that connects our donor and our server port. So how we distribute the technology is in the future is 100% going to be digital. That's what we do. Now, having said that, on the server side, what we've expanded with the Quattro 4000 is we've put an RF port, we've put a robust N-type connector on the server side. So if you want to simply attach an omnidirectional antenna to that CU and set your deploy that product as if it's an active antenna, you can do that all day long. That is an absolutely fundamental use case. If you happen to be a passive DAS company, you want to run a passive field from the CU, we've just tried to make that a little bit easier by putting that robust RF port on the CU. So we really support either use case and don't really care which one you choose as long as you're choosing our product. I think those are kind of the two big ones, Dean, that I had.
I saw, I was kind of reviewing the questions as we're going through. I mean, some simple questions like, is Duo still available? And the answer is yes. All the products that we covered today are all active products. And the products that we offer vary by region, of course. That is a note just for people to understand. And I had read some of the questions before I went and I tried to answer them kind of live as well by incorporating what I was saying. I think we covered the main questions for today. We thank you for attending. And again, a reminder that in 2 weeks, we will be talking the Cell-Fi Quattro Red ERC solution. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks a lot, Dean. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you soon.